Hi, everyone. Welcome to the One Podcast. I'm excited about today's guest, Sabrina Greer. She has a really interesting story, very accomplished. Sabrina Greer is a best-selling author, book publisher, keynote and TEDx speaker, PR strategist, and authority coach to global thought leaders. She is the visionary behind fEMPOWHER Publications, Inc., a publishing house and intellectual influence development company for women. As a survivor of nearly 2 decades in the beauty industry and a fashion model in recovery, Sabrina is passionate about amplifying the voices of women so they too can claim their authority through best-selling books and organic publicity. I love how you refer to yourself as a survivor and a fashion model in recovery, which so many young girls think that would be the most amazing thing. When you're little, you dream about being pretty and famous and getting recognition. So tell me a little bit about your background, how you ended up in that, and why you refer to yourself as that now.
Absolutely. Oh, where do I start? So I was one of those young girls who wanted so badly to be famous and pretty and to fit in. My parents were foster parents. So I grew up as the only biological child with 50 plus siblings, not all at once, but over the course of my childhood. And, it forced me to grow up pretty quickly because I was a mother's helper. And when we moved from the city to a country house for more space, I didn't fit in. And I was bullied and I was skinny and I just didn't fit in. So when I was scouted, and I'm doing air quotes that nobody can see, when I was discovered to be a model. It was the classic story. I was like walking through the mall and some booker came up and said, "You should be a model." And I said, "Okay." And that was sort of it. It was an escape for me to get out of the small town that my family had moved to. It was my opportunity to become all of the things that I thought I wanted to be. And it felt like a new beginning and until it didn't. So I started traveling when I was very young. I was in Taiwan for my 16th birthday,
Wow.
which when you travel to model, you have chaperones, which are not your typical chaperones. And there's a lot of rules and a lot of things, but not really. So it was an interesting experience for me, and I have no regrets in this life. I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to travel at a young age. I'm so grateful that I got to experience that. And obviously, it was the catalyst for this work that I do now. But I consider myself a model in recovery because it is a really dangerous industry.
Mhm.
And I say the word dangerous not lightly because I suffered from body dysmorphia. I had multiple eating disorders, lots of classic Me Too moments from people who you look up to, their mentors, their photographers, their booking agents, they're people who are supposed to be responsible for your well-being. And there's a lot of abuse that goes on in that industry. So my work now is to help women really claim their voice. And I found a great way to do that is through books and media and publicity, which is a way to sort of get that feeling of being famous, but for your intellectual influence rather than the way you look.
Mm.
And that's been my big purpose is helping women really love who they are on the inside and really become everything they want to be, the version they want to be from their intellect.
Wow, I have a feeling while you're talking. Okay, let's start there. I grew up thin, but even when you grow up thin, if you get recognition for being thin, then you, of course, stay aware of that. And I didn't have eating disorders, but I think so many people at different ages deal with that, especially now with weight loss drugs. And there's so much pressure to make sure that you are getting appreciated for the way you look. And yet you, young, started getting the appreciation and recognition for the way you look. So yours was the opposite. You had people looking at the outside and wanted recognition for the inside. Talk a little bit about the way that you were able to overcome some of those body issues and really find that balance between I can still be pretty no matter what, and I don't have to conform to what society says, and I can find the balance of using my voice. What was that process like for you?
Yeah. So it was not a linear process nor a fast one. It was a
Never is.
lifetime of
Never is.
compounding personal development and growth and doing work on myself. And, I've had everything from talk therapy, and I studied psychology. So I have a degree in psychology and I specialize in developmental psychology, and I work with a lot of trauma. I'm also trauma informed. I work with a lot of trauma patients. However, it took a while to get to the stage of being able to do that for other people because I had to do that for myself first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it really was learning that it doesn't matter what's on the outside. If I can look in the mirror and be happy with myself, then that's all that matters. So I had an experience. I was actually 18 years old. I was living in Milan at the time, modeling, and it was before I'm aging myself. It was way before the days of like smartphones. I had a paper map in my hand and a big portfolio bag, wearing high heels because why wouldn't you on cobblestone streets when you're 18 years old? It was the worst idea ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taking the tram to this audition house where multiple auditions happen every day. And a friend of mine was with me, and she was a German, she was beautiful Greek woman, but she lived in Germany. So she spoke German, but she did not look like a German person. So these clients were German, and we went into each other's castings together, and they spoke German, and they didn't realize that she did. So they would critique us and say what they needed to say. And we went to 4 in a row. And when we got back on the tram, I asked her, I said, what did they say about me? And she's like, you don't want to know. I said, I do. I really do want to know. She said, well, the first one said that you were too skinny and that you should eat a sandwich. And the second one said that you shouldn't even be a model because you're overweight. And the third one said that you're cute, but not perfect for this thing. So it was these very same day, same outfit, same everything, didn't even eat a meal in between. There was no variables, nothing changes. And that was their thing. So even though I was 18 years old at the time, something that day woke up inside of me that, what other people think is their opinion. And what's the expression? Those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. Mm-hmm. And that's what kept like playing over in my head. It's if people can judge me so differently on the same day with nothing changing in between, then why can't I change the way I think about myself? Right? So that's when it started. And I think that was a catalyst moment for me. In obviously I was very young and I didn't know what it all meant at that time, but I have that memory so specifically. And I know that was part of the discovery of this work, of learning that it's all subjective and it doesn't really matter. Right?
Yes. And for those that are listening or come across this, I know that we give weight to people's opinions. And I remember thinking a few years back, what is it in me that chose to make that one person's opinion of me so important for so long? So we can all reflect back to when we're younger, and there's a specific teacher who said something positive that impacted our life, and we take that with us, which I think is very important. But yet then we can also pick grade school, junior high, high school, college, someone who said something, did something, looked at you a funny way, made a comment, one comment on one day of one year, way back when. And we've carried that, we take that and make that so deep inside ourselves that it impacts every single day. And I remember realizing, out of all the millions of people on this planet, I know that person mattered to me at that one point in time, but why did I choose that one comment or that one opinion on that one day and make that so much more important than every other opinion of every other day, of every other year, of every other person that I've known? I think sometimes that's the way to start unwinding, is you got 3 or 4 really strong opinions in one day. And I love that there was contrast. So it could make you think, that makes no sense. You're too skinny. Oh, she shouldn't. She's too fat. Like, how in the world
Mhm.
But thank heaven, and wise beyond your years at 18 to even consider that. I think it's really helpful for anyone young or as we're older. I know looking back, there are opinions that mattered even a few years ago that really helped me move forward or gave me pause at this age to consider, why are you letting this matter? Why are you letting this impact you? And does it really have meaning? So you started forward on that path. I mean, you started considering that at 18. And then what led you into your business now? How did that evolve?
Yeah. So my TED talk is it's called Redefining Beauty in the Digital Era.
I love
So the way TED works is it's either a completely new idea worth spreading, or it's a revamp of an old concept that has a new spin on it. So I took my personal experience from modeling and the abuse I went through during those years. And I looked at it through the lens of our youth now, because I feel like our youth have such a unique layer to this old problem, which is defining our worth based on how we look. And now with these, do you know that they call these apps beauty improvement apps? That's actually what they're called. Beauty improvement.
I thought
The
they
ones where
were,
you can
yeah.
like filter your face and change it
Mm-hmm.
with the click of a button. And the rating on them, the age rating on them is 4 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Think about a 4 year old girl going onto this beauty improvement app to completely modify her appearance to look better, is what is essentially what we're telling
Right.
these children. Here, push this button so you can look better, so you can be prettier. Like, it's crazy when you think about it. So that's what my TED talk is about. And I do discuss when I got into modeling, I was being aggressively bullied at school for being too thin. They
Yeah.
called me flat chested. They called me anorexic. They called me, I was pounding creatine shakes for breakfast to try to like to get over 95 pounds. And when I got into modeling, that's what they liked the most about me, was the fact that I was a beanpole, if you
Yep.
will,
Yep. I
right?
remember those names. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, and everything's in hindsight looking back. I don't think I really recognized it at 18. I certainly didn't recognize it at 13. I was living it. I was in all the feels. I hated every second of it. I still remember my bully's name. I remember her stepping on the back of my shoes, trying to trip me in the schoolyard, have vivid recollections of those experiences. So I don't think it was until I became an adult woman and had children of my own, even until I realized those moments were the catalyst in supporting the work that I do now.
Yeah.
But I think it was really, I had this dream always of being a published author, of speaking on stage, of being recognized for my mind, being recognized for my thoughts and my ideas and my words and my art. And I had this vision of that, not being on the cover of a magazine because I'm pretty and I'm getting paid to do it, but the other way around, getting featured on magazines for being somebody, for winning an award or for publishing my book so I knew I wanted that, but it wasn't in the way that it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they say the universe, God always gives you what you ask for, but maybe not in the way that you think, right? If you ask for courage, they give you, you get an opportunity to be courageous, not necessarily here's courage for you.
Right.
You get an
Right.
opportunity to practice. So I think the modeling industry was all just practice to bring me here so that I was able to lead and influence in the way that I do now. But of course, it was a journey to get here, and I didn't know where it was leading me. I just kept following the nudges. I kept following my intuition. I kept essentially pushing through because it didn't stop. The bullying continued. I remember being told at 22 years old I was too old to model now, and that all I would get from that point forward would be anti-aging ads and hemorrhoid cream advertisements. So yeah.
Sorry,
Mhm.
not funny, but yeah, hemorrhoid.
True,
Wow.
but true.
Wow.
That's yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
So when did you write your first book? On that path, you wanted both. Were you heading for the book first, or were you thinking get on the stages first? What was your vision that led to the action? And then what was your first action steps in case this helps someone who's listening?
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, it wasn't a linear path and it certainly didn't happen in the way I expected. It was not a straight line at all.
Never.
But everything led to something else. And now in hindsight, I could see the breadcrumbs. I could see
Yeah.
that this needed to happen for this to happen, and this needed to happen for this to happen. Studying psychology and going back to school, I went back to school as a mature student because I was modeling. I didn't even graduate high school. I had tutors that I traveled with, and it was a very different journey. But when I went back to school as a mature student, I bounced around. I was in social work, and then I thought that's what I wanted to do. And then I went into psychology and education, and I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And I had to experience all of these things to weed out the what don't I want?
Yes.
And then I'm left with what I do want. And even when I got into publishing, so I was pregnant with my third son, who's now 8. So it was 8 years ago that I published my first book, and it was with a traditional publisher. And I thought that was the journey that I wanted to go on, and just here's my book, and yay, I'm going to be famous, and I'm going to be a New York Times bestselling author, and this is what's going to happen. And I recognized very quickly with that form of publishing that I didn't actually own my intellectual property. So 2 years and about the price of a car later, in court fees and legal fees, I earned my intellectual property back. And then I took that same book and self-published it as a second edition.
Nice.
And then I realized that self-publishing also sucked. So I was like, okay, what am I being told? What's the message here? What's the path for me? What am I supposed to do with all of this information? Here I finally am doing what I set out to do, my life's work, it's here. And then now this. So, in hindsight, again, it was okay. I started my own modality. I trademarked my own modality of publishing. It's called blended publishing. And that's what we do. We blend the best of all of the good parts of publishing together, and we disrupt an archaic industry that's still very much ingrained in the patriarchy and doesn't really set women up for the ability to amplify their voice on the level that I desired. That was when the voice of my grade 4 teacher was in my head saying, if something in life doesn't exist, build it. I was like, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do is just simply build something different, something that does work for me. And if it works for me, it'll work for other people too. And that's how it all came to be. So I guess if a younger listener is paying attention to this and wondering, it's just keep moving forward. I actually did a post the other day on social media about taking my younger self for coffee. And it's a trend that's happening right now. Everyone's saying, I took myself for a drink the other day, my younger self, and this is what I said. But I wrote it from this point of, if I were to give myself the codes or the key to how to survive, how to get through it all, how to get here, because here is fantastic. Like, we figured it out finally. But that 16-year-old version of myself didn't know we'd even make it here. And the word I whispered to her in that post is surrender. And surrender isn't about stabbing a white flag in the sand and giving up. Surrendering is about allowing things to happen, even when they're hard, especially when they're hard, even when it feels like everything's falling apart around you and it's so challenging, because that's what I really did. Looking in hindsight, I just continued to surrender to, why is this happening? Instead of throwing my hands at the sky in rage going, why? It was like, okay, why is this happening? And what can I learn from it? And how can I grow from it? And how can I make adjustments to make it better? And I think that's the way forward.
I remember thinking a few years back, I always struggled when people would say everything happens for a reason. And I'm not exactly sure where I stand on that. However, one thing I love to do with my clients is to look back, and when you've got some time to sit and look at the past experiences, the good and the bad, especially the challenging ones, and not necessarily always extract the lesson. I do think there is a lesson there. But for me, more importantly, who did I become because of those? So what are the character traits I developed as part of living that experience? Did I become more resilient? Did I become more brave? Did I become more compassionate towards other people? Did I become more aware? Did I become more soft-hearted, kinder? There's so many things. And for me, it is the experience will pass. However, if you develop a character trait, you can carry that forward and it becomes the woman you are today. And I think you're so right. You say that, the breadcrumbs looking back, and I always think about my mom used to say, and I know somebody famous said it, maybe it was Steve Jobs, but my mom always said, you can only connect those dots looking back. So if you're sitting in a spot right now that seems a little confusing and you can't clearly see what's ahead, or you've got the vision of the dream, but we don't know all the pieces to put them together, take a minute and pause and look back. Okay, I'm going to look at some of these dots on how I got here. And then who am I in this woman here? And can I see the vision? And it's always about just holding that vision and then following those intuitive nudges, because you're right. What's here is excellent, but not all the time. And even when you are here and you've arrived in part of that vision, doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. Right. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's so great is you develop the resilience because of the things that you've been through. You develop the resilience and you develop the compassion because you had to have compassion for yourself and then compassion for others that might have influenced that experience for you, but not known better or didn't weren't aware of the impact it could have on you. And yet we become better people if we choose it because of it. Right. So
Absolutely.
currently, are people established authors when they find you, or can they come to you if they even have an idea? Talk about what your clientele is like or how people work with you.
Yeah, so blended publishing essentially blends the best of both worlds. So self-publishing combined with traditional publishing. So the traditional side is we have a full-time team. I've got 8 editors on my team. I've got a design team. We do full production of books and marketing as well. But because we are a small and mighty team, I wish I could publish everyone. I wish I could say, yes, it's open to everyone. But of course, that's not the case. We publish 12 books a year, and they're all in the vein of personal growth and development books. I'm also trying now to remove the title or category of self-help and turn it into personal growth and development or professional growth and development, because self-help to me just feels so icky still. But that's the category that we really work in and specialize in, is nonfiction, narrative, female authors that have a personal story to share. But exactly what you just said, it's all about becoming. It's who you have to be and who you have become in the process, and sharing your story from that lens so it can help other people as well.
And if you just heard that and thought to yourself, oh, she only takes 12 books a year, that's never going to be me. I want to really emphasize the fact that you could be hearing this podcast or seeing this on YouTube because you didn't even recognize you have a story. And the first thing to know, in my opinion, is that every life that's lived has an interesting story to tell. I mean, that's the whole point of most podcasts. There's a story to be told by both people. There's a story out there that in the living of your life, you experience things that could help others that are going to come into that experience, a similar one, or that have experienced it and haven't worked their way through it. And even if you don't have a full book in mind, the beginning of writing your story matters. Whether you voice audio record that, whether you journal it, your story matters. And I think that was one of the really big important messages I've gotten over the last couple of years in focusing on the one woman, the one movement, and the one podcast is we are all the one. And I remember the first time that had come to me that I was like, the one woman. Oh, I think I'm going to run around and claim that I'm the one. But there's so many different angles to come from with that. And if you can't claim I am the one to do this, you can at least recognize there is not another of you. There is never going to be another Sabrina. There's not another Lisa. And so you get this one opportunity to choose how to live it. And there's this very unique version of a human with your quirks and with your flaws, quote unquote, but you have very specific gifts and talents that, if you choose, can create an impact or a ripple effect, even if it's just you write something and you share it with someone in your family. You write something or you audio record something and share it with someone down the road, or you bump into someone in an elevator and you help them on your day. There is an impact to be made. And hopefully you get brave enough to put it in a book and find Sabrina. But I think, however your story is to be told, you didn't intersect this podcast or YouTube out of coincidence. And I think there's a reason that people come across this. There's a reason she chose this path and chose to actually start a company that blends publishing so it can be done differently. And I liked how you had said, you look at something and then you do it differently. And I think that's so key. I remember working with Melanie, and she had talked about, we look at the things that we care about and that we're passionate about, and then we look for something that we think is missing or could be better. And instead of complaining about, that's the intersection of what we invent. That's why we found that. If there's something that you like and you see it could be better, create it. Put your flavor on
Yeah.
it. Do it. So where you're standing now and as you're moving forward, talk to us a little bit about what your vision is for the future.
Ooh, that's a big one.
I like it.
I have
I
a
like it.
very
Let's
big
put it
vision.
out there. Put it out there.
Yeah, so it's funny because our mentor that you just mentioned, she says leaders are bridges and bridges are tested. And I feel like the last year and a half, 2 years have been my very intensive testing to make sure that my bridge is strong enough to carry a mission of my size. So I see fEMPOWER becoming, yes, we'll still publish books. Of course, we'll always publish books, but I also see it going bigger. I want to do a fEMPOWER fund where we help girls under the age of 18 who have creative tendencies to publish their book. We published one author last year who wrote a book of poetry about her father who committed suicide. And it was an absolutely beautiful book, and it became a bestseller in multiple categories. And I want to do more of that. So the work and giving back. But I also see our authors speaking on global stages. I see us hosting a conference, a big conference with lots of speakers and lots of people. I just see lots. I see big, big, big numbers, big things, big help, big people, and just lots of growth. I practice what I preach. So I'm also continuously working on myself. I'm going to be publishing my 15th book this year, but it'll be my first solo book about exactly this. It's called Authority, and it's about really redefining what authority means for women and how we can truly, truly claim it. And I thought TED Talk was it for speaking. Like that was the pinnacle, the be all and end all. It's like, once I do that, I'll be done and I'll be good, but it's not the case. Of course, that was just the beginning. Something cracked open and there was a door and I was like, ooh, what's on this side? So yeah, I definitely am not complete in that realm of things either, but I'll also be helping a lot of my community do the same. So it's funny when you mentioned that everyone has a story that's worth sharing. I truly believe that. And that is the mission. It's helping women share their story in whatever way is possible for them. And it's funny because I've read the stats. I do a ton of deep dive research, and I've discovered that 85% of entrepreneurial women who are willing to invest in themselves in coaching and in personal development work have the desire to write a book.
Wow.
And less than 1% get to the point of publication.
That's
a big gap.
That's
so
huge. That's
yeah.
huge.
So I plan on closing that gap. I call it the dream gap. And I plan on bridging that too. So helping women really achieve their dreams and realize that they can do it.
Yeah.
You know, we come up with all these reasons, doing air quotes again that you can't see. We come up with all these reasons why we can't. Oh, I don't have the time. I have too much on my plate. I'm too busy doing this. I'm too busy over here. I've got kids. I've got this. I've got that. I've got blah, 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 blah. And it stops us and it makes us put our dreams on the back burner. And I want that to stop. I want to help women really bridge the gap between their dreams and their reality and show them what's possible and help them get there.
And for those of you that are thinking, okay, yeah, you know what, I don't have enough time and I wouldn't even know where to start. I remember thinking I would have information like come to me and great ideas, and I was super uncomfortable getting on camera, and but I knew that information was important, or I would have this great conversation and think this is valuable information. Smartphones, hello, brilliance. There are voice recording apps. You can sit here and turn on your video and no one ever has to see it. And you can talk to yourself. You can turn on your audio. You can send a text message to yourself. You can send a note to yourself. You can use this thing at any point in time. When you're sneaking in the bathroom, turn on your phone. So it's not like you have to have an hour to sit down in silence or in music and meditate before you can write. There are valuable pieces of information coming to you and through you every single day. And use your phone. We use it for everything. That 15 minutes that you would have been on Facebook, turn around and throw some thoughts in there. Or an important insight that you have through a lesson that you just went through, send yourself a text message to remember that for later. It's those little tiny action steps that are going to lead towards it. I did want to ask you, so you have 15 books and this authority is coming. If someone were to come across you today, of the ones that you've already done, what would be one of your favorites that you would recommend that you think most people would gravitate towards if you have one?
Hmm. So, as I mentioned, the book that's coming out this year is my first solo book. So,
Yeah,
all the other books that I've published to date have been collaborations,
perfect.
which I love collaborations because it is what I stand for. It's how my business started. It was the first book, and it'll be forever something I continue to do. So we bring together anywhere from 10 to 20 authors and do these collaborations. So I was the lead author of the You've Got This Mama series because when I first started my business, I was pregnant with my now 8-year-old. So it was all about motherhood. And the You've Got This Mama series, it's a collaboration of stories about everything from early motherhood to raising teenagers and adults. I love the diversity of collaborative books because
Yeah.
it's more than one voice. That's the work I do. It's amplifying the voices of women. It's the collective voice of women because yes, we all have a story, but maybe we don't all have a full book in us. Maybe we don't all have a huge thing to like 70,000 words to write. Maybe it is just a chapter that we want to contribute to the world, and that's great.
Right.
And I love the diversity it offers. My most recent publication was last year. It was called the Lighthouse Project. That one is really near and dear to my heart. It's all about mental health and overcoming a lot of different aspects of mental health, struggling with addiction, struggling with eating disorders, struggling with all kinds of things that they're very raw.
Yeah.
So if you just look on Amazon, put my name in, all of our collaborations will come up. We've done some incredible ones over the years, but those would be if you're a mom and you're looking for great motherhood content, the You've Got This Mama series, there's 6 of them and they're incredible. But if you're not and you're looking for inspirational, empowering, really raw and real stories, the Lighthouse Project series, there's 2 of them, would be my recommendation.
And they can find those on Amazon, not
Yeah,
your website, or both.
both, and any bookstore as well. Yeah.
Nice. And then what is your, if people want to come and find you, what's your favorite social media? What do you use the most? Tell us all
Yeah,
about
I would
it.
say I hang out the most on Instagram at the Sabrina Greer.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then obviously we'll be watching for Authority coming out.
Yeah.
I love to ask, no, before I do that, is there anything else you feel inspired that you want to add?
I just think stop making excuses and turning those excuses into reasons. Whatever it is, whether it's starting a podcast, whether it's writing a book, whether it's starting a business or doing something that feels out of reach, just do it. It is possible. If it's in your heart and it's in your mind and you can imagine it and you can wish for it and you can hope for it, then it's there for a reason. It's there for you. And you can achieve it. And it might not be easy, but it's okay. You'll be okay.
Yes. Not only is it possible, but it matters.
Yeah.
If it's on your heart and if it's in you, it matters. And I am guilty of delaying. I was telling Sabrina, I've delayed this podcast for 2 years. 2 years I've known I was supposed to do it. But I wasn't a podcaster. I sat with that for such a long time. And it wasn't until I wanted to share other people's stories that I really felt the passion for it. And it has, I can't even tell you how much fun it's been, how much it's blessed my life, and how good it feels to be sharing the things I know I should share and then to share other people's stories as well. So if podcasting is the thing, I highly invite you to do that. She's done 3. This is my first one. It doesn't mean it has to be perfect and it doesn't mean it doesn't change over time, but do that. Whatever it is that's small, that's big, I know it can be scary, but what I am hoping that you're getting from these stories that people are sharing is as you take one step, another step will light for you. As you take another step, another one will light for you. And that it's not always easy, but you're perfectly capable of getting through it and you're supported. And if you don't feel supported, there's many people that have been on this podcast and in this YouTube that are here to support you. That is their life's work, is to share what they've been through and to support others in doing that. And I think you have many, many, many great stories to share. And that's what you've been doing is putting these in books and doing collaborations. You have so much to offer so many of these listeners. I've really enjoyed this. Okay, my favorite thing to ask people at the end is, as the woman you are today, and thinking about the future, how would you finish this sentence? I am the one who dot dot dot.
I'm the one who paved the way for women to stand in their truth because I think we've really, as women specifically, as I do my research for my book, I'm uncovering things that are painful, but it's history. It's not something I can change. It's not something like feeling sad about it isn't the way forward. So I think really just shining a light on it and supporting women through it. It's like breaking cycles, breaking generational patterns, and helping women stand in this truth that is we were born worthy. We were not just meant to do nothing, right? We're not just meant to be in the kitchen or be like these roles, these gender roles that are put out there. Like we are undeniably, if you go way, way back in history, like women were worshipped, like we were the goddesses, we were the one. And we're the ones who can give birth. We are the ones who create life. We are magic. We are everything. And that's sort of been diluted and taken away from us over centuries. So I think my work goes so deep and so far back and bringing all of that into the future and breaking these generational patterns and cycles that have oppressed women for a long time now.
You have paved the way and you are continuing to pave the way in a very global, accessible, relatable path. And I can't wait to see what stages you end up on and the big collaborations ahead. And I feel like you're a very good resource for so many people, women or men, that you can go to Sabrina and you can find something to relate to that will empower you to embody more of who you are, to recognize your uniqueness. I know a lot of people don't feel like they're special, and a lot of people don't feel like I have something big to offer the world, and yet you are special. There is only one of you. And however small it feels, like to recognize that, to embody it, to embrace it, and then to step more into I am really important. What I have to say matters. And the more you get that, the more you embody it, the more around you, others will start to embody it. And like Sabrina does, you'll collaborate in creating things. You get to be a part of contributing to the world and making this matter. I love the work that you're doing. I'm so grateful that we've had the opportunity to chat today. I think this is fantastic. And I hope people come and find you. One more time, what are your social medias for people to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's Sabrina Greer on Instagram is probably the best place, and everything else from there is attached. You can find me anywhere.
Great. Thank you so much. And we will see you
Thank
guys
you.
again soon on the One Podcast.